Welcome everyone to our daily Forex market analysis for July 3rd in preparation for July 4th, 2017. Just a quick disclaimer before we get started. This is for educational purposes only. If you have questions about your individual investment needs, I recommend you talk to your investment advisor. All right, so we'll start off by taking a look at our calendar here. So starting the week off, Monday here, we had a bunch of PMI data that came out. British pound, the PMI numbers actually came out a little bit softer than expected. The expectation was 56.4, and we were at 54.3. So the PMI numbers are a leading indicator, so this is not good. So lately, we have seen the British pound numbers have been really, really good, and that's why we are getting that boost. As well as with the Bank of England, and they are a little bit more bullish on the economy than they have been before. So this is why they're getting, the British pound is getting a boost. But now this number is not good. So that's the first number, but again, this is one number, so it doesn't make, it doesn't break the deal. So we'll just keep an eye on the numbers that come out. So for the US, we saw PMI numbers were actually positive, better than expected, which is good. And then retail sales coming up for Australian dollar. So for Tuesday here, actually, let's do a whole weekly review. Okay, so this week, on Tuesdays, it is a holiday here in Canada. It's a long weekend, and then we have Tuesday is the holiday in the US. So expect lighter liquidity since it's a bank holiday. So basically, we are looking at a long holiday, extra long weekend. So just expect lower liquidity. Very important here, we have Rba Rate Statement. So different banks have been very bullish now. So ECB, we have Bank of England, Bank of Canada, all of these have been bullish. So it'll be interesting to see what RBA comes out with. If they are bullish, that will give Australian dollar a boost. So this is something to watch. And then we have CPI numbers for Japan, which will be important as well because Japanese yen is taking a big hit. And if the CPI numbers come out negative, it will be even worse. So pound yen is one of the trades we'll look at this week because there is a big disparity between the two crosses. So we'll keep that in mind. For British pound construction PMI numbers, so here we had manufacturing PMI numbers, and now we have construction PMI numbers. So again, another leading indicator, nothing in the US session. So, but then going into, the only thing is GDP price index, which will be important for New Zealand. But other than that, going into our Wednesday, we have PMI numbers, services PMI for British pound, FOMC meeting minutes. So this will be very important. Now, in terms of Fed, the market has not been very bullish on the US dollar. And so the difference that we'll see here is if the Fed meeting minutes are actually dovish, it will have more of a negative impact on the US dollar. If they're bullish, we really won't see that big an impact because Yellen last week came out quite bullish on it, on the US dollar, and saying that they're still on track with the interest rate hikes, but the market didn't really take that into consideration at all. So with this one, if there is any dovishness in the meeting minutes, that will be negative for the US dollar. Otherwise, it will just be a status quo, not really expecting a big move in the positive direction as a result of these meeting minutes. And then we have trade balance, which will be important. Thursday is big one here. So this week we have, so first here, ECB monetary policy account. So this will be important as well because ECB has started already talking about reducing the stimulus and then the monetary policy, cutting back on that. So this will be important here to see what the meeting minutes say. If they are bullish, again, that will be positive for the euro. And then we have ADP non-farm employment change here, trade balance for Canada. Trade balance will be important because Canada right now is an interesting place. we have seen Bank of Canada wanting to raise rates, and one of the reasons they want to raise rates is because the housing markets has been crazy here in Canada. However, Canada is also facing some challenges with President Trump. We have seen lumber is impacted right now, and there may be other things coming out in the future. So if the trade balance does not come out positive, that will actually be negative. Sorry, if the trade balance is actually, well, it's expected to be negative, but if the trade balance comes out negative or more negative than it's expected to be, I think that would be bad for the Canadian dollar, because even though Bank of Canada wants to raise rates, but there is this concern about NAFTA and renegotiation of NAFTA, as well as higher sanctions put on certain things, certain exports that Canada especially exports into the US. So that is a concern, especially with President Trump wanting to renegotiate everything. So keep that in mind. So negative trade balance number would actually be worse for Canada than it would have otherwise been. Unemployment claims for the US, and we also have non-manufacturing PMI numbers for the US, again, very important. But on Friday here, this is where the most important stuff is going to happen. Here we have manufacturing production numbers for British pound, again, another leading indicator here. But important thing for the US here will be the unemployment rate, the non-farm payrolls. So non-farm payroll is always a big event for the US, so that is something to watch out here. And then we also have Bank of England Governor Carney speaking, which will be important. And then we have Fed monetary policy report, which is actually coming out after the FOMC. So for the US dollar, Thursday and Friday will be very important. So just keep that in mind. We also have G20 meetings, which normally the only impact we tend to see from G20 meetings will be the comments by various government officials. That's it. But however, now with President Trump, we do have a bit of a wild card. So if he comes out and makes any statements like, oh, US dollar is too expensive, or things like that, of course, that can move the market. So keep that in mind. Let's move on to our charts here. Okay, so we'll start off with Euro. Looking at the daily chart here, perhaps I should get rid of some of this stuff. Okay, so we have seen a negative day. We had talked, going into it, we had talked about Euro dropping, and one of the reasons for the Euro to drop would be because of the month-end close. Generally, we see when, well, actually, we've seen many times that US dollar will take a hit into the month end, and then right into the month end, we actually see pullback. So we have seen that pullback. Based on a daily here, this is quite bearish. However, do keep in mind the month end. So this could just be a pullback for another move higher. So that's something we have to keep in mind. So we'll have to see how things play out for tomorrow. So as we can see, price had done this pin-to-pin test. Now we have dropped back lower. So in this case, based on our daily close, we're looking for a further move to the downside. So in this case, we'd be looking for a pullback into 131.90 area or into 1.1400, and then we're looking for a further move to the downside. And the target will be 1.1280, so 1280 level would be the target in this case. However, because it's month end, we could also see price move back up. So in that case, the scenario we are likely to see would be that the price kind of goes back up, pulls back into this 1400 or 1390 level, and then does another move to the upside. So this, even though it's a short week, but it is a very important week for the US dollar with multiple, with FOMC as well as employment numbers, so multiple data points that are coming out for the US. So it's an important week, and as a result of that, it will be very volatile. So keep that in mind. For now, though, based on the daily close, we are bearish on this. So here's our 4 hours. So we're looking for a pullback into this level here. So this was the S1. Now it's 1391. So this level here, pin to pin test is what we're looking for. And then we're looking for a drop. So if the price does not break below this level, 1320 level, then we could see one of these moves to the upside. So that's something to keep in mind. 1320 would be a level to watch to see if the price is ready to bounce or if it's just kind of hanging around. So as we can see, price did make a lower high and it has dropped right into this previous support and resistance level. But again, the one important one here would be this 1320 level, this right into here. So we have to watch, especially have to watch this here. So keep that in mind. But for now, we're looking for a drop at least into the 1320 area. So bearish bias on the euro. Pound, very similar story. We did see many days of a bullish move, and as a result of that, we were looking for price to move down, and it has today. It just took a little bit of time. Now, at this point, I would be bearish from the daily perspective. We are bearish on this, but this could be a pullback for a further move to the upside. And the important level to watch for pound this week would be this 128.50 level. So this one over here. So in today's case, what we could see, we are going with a bearish bias, but we are going to be open to how the price moves. So we're looking for price to come down into 128.50 level. But again, keep in mind, we do have a lot of stuff going on for the US as well as for the British pound. So right now, we're looking for the first target for the pound will be 129.00, which is right into here. So this is important. So right now, we're looking for price to push up a little bit and then drop into 129.00. If it holds below that, we're looking for 128.50-ish level, which is this pin right here. So that will be important level. But again, we have to be very flexible with this one because we could see price kind of pull back into 128.50 or even into this level here, 128.20 level, and then take off to the upside. So overall, pound is bullish, but for in the short term, we could see it pull back. So that's the scenario there. So in terms of moves, we are looking for push up into 129.80 and then a drop into 129.00 and potentially into 128.50 level, this price level right about here. So going on with a daily bearish bias into this one, for the short term at least. And if you take a look at our 1 hour, this is where we are. So as we can see, if this starts to fill, if it drops below 2,900, this inefficiency will get filled. And that's why we may see price come back into 128.20-ish area. And that, I think, will be an important support and resistance where price could get pushed up. So that's for pound. Dollar CAD here. Dollar CAD is holding below 130 here. It has pushed up, but it is having trouble with 130. If it stays below 130, we're looking for a further move to the downside. First target will be 129.50, and then we are looking for another move lower. And in that case, we would be looking at a 128.20 level. So the bias for this one, as long as it stays below 130, will be a further move to the downside. But if for some reason we start seeing positive numbers out of the US and FOMC is bullish, in that case, we are likely to see price move up higher. So in that case, our next target to the upside would be 130.45 area. So about 50-ish area. And here we are. So we saw drop, consolidation, drop, and now it's consolidating below the 130 level, which is definitely bearish for this. This is what it looks like. It came into previous resistance right here, and now it looks like it wants to drop. So the first target is a 129.50-ish level, and then we have 129.100 to the downside. Aussie dollar here, this is the same story. So we have to be very cautious with these US dollar pairs. In terms of Aussie here, we have a bearish close. So just because of that, we are going to go with the bearish bias to the downside. Now, again, we do have Australian Reserve Bank of Australia coming up. So if they are bullish, this is going to shoot up. So we may see it come back into 76.30 area. And then if they're bullish, we're looking for this type of a move to the upside. Then we could extend into 77.30 and even potentially higher into about 7,800 there as well. But it could pull back prior to that into 76.30 area. So this will be based on the daily close. We're looking for a down move and looking for price to come into 76.30-ish area. Here's the 4-hour. So the bullishness is still intact because it's still sitting up there, but in the short term, we could see it come down. So sort of that type of move into 76.30. We'll do a quick 1-hour scan here. Here we are. So like I said, we could pull into 76.80 and then drop into 76.30 level here. So we'll have to just keep that in mind. Now, if it doesn't, if it breaches the 76.80 level, then we're looking for a further move to the downside, sorry, to the upside there. New Zealand dollar. New Zealand dollar has been a little less bullish than the Aussie. New Zealand dollar, see how this move here, it looks more of a compressed move. See how this move right here is very similar to this move here. So this is a compressed move, and after that we saw a big drop. This here has the same sort of, a very similar sort of compression right here. So because of that, we could see a move to the downside. So in this case, we are looking for, based on this here, we are looking for a further move to the downside. This is a bearish close on the day. The target here is 72.50 first, and then we are looking into 7,200 here. So those will be the two targets to the downside. But we do need to keep in mind what Aussie and Canadian dollar are doing. If Canadian dollar and Australian dollar, if the commodities, essentially oil, and also we need to look at gold, copper, if the commodities are good and if the commodity currencies are doing well, we could see New Zealand dollar get dragged with that. So here's a difference in terms of our moves here. See how this is a compressed move for Australian dollar, and we are almost into that level, but we are not seeing this type of a move. Whereas if we look at New Zealand dollar, we're seeing a compressed move right here. See how price is going back and forth like this, but not really making much headway to the upside. Same thing here. We're seeing price sort of go up and down here, but we're not seeing a strong momentous move to the upside. Whereas if we look at Australian dollar, that looks very bullish. We have a pin bar, a drop, and then, but we're not seeing this type of a compression where price just keeps trading within the same range for an extended period of time, which we're seeing here. So with this case, we're looking for move into 72.50, a bearish move. However, if for some reason we see price break 73.46 and come and do a back test, so once it holds above 73.46 or 73.50 area, that could be very bullish for the New Zealand dollar. So this one we have to just wait and see. So Aussie New Zealand may be a trade that you want to consider because Australian dollar is definitely more bullish than New Zealand. Even now, if you can see, this is bullish at the moment. New Zealand dollar is more bearish at the moment. So between the two, there may be a disparity that can be exploited. Here we're looking at pound yen. Pound yen has been very bullish. So with this one, if the price starts to, so this one looks like a compressed move. So if you watch these three candles, if you look at these three candles, it is looking more like a compressed move. So in this case, based on the daily close, we are bullish, but now we are running into resistance to the upside. So we're getting closer to the highs, and this was the high in November 2016, and now May or April, we saw this price up here. Now we are almost into that, so we could, based on the daily close, we could see price move up higher into 14800, but this is we just need to be cautious with this one because price is a little stalling a bit. Basically, it hasn't gone anywhere in 3 days. It did close bullish, so if it breaks above 146.92, we're looking for further move into 14800. But it could stall right here, just like this here. We could see price come down. So I would be open to both the scenarios, but pound yen is a good trade. So if it does come lower, we could see price bounce up here, or coming down a little bit lower. Price may give us another opportunity in this one if the price comes into this level 14300, which is quite far away at the moment. If it comes down here, that will definitely be a bullish move that we'd be looking for. 144.20 is another one of those levels where we need to watch. If price holds at 144.20, or then we would be looking for another move to the upside. So pound yen is more like buying the dips type of scenario at the moment because yen is weak. But in this case, we are coming into resistance. So that's something to watch out for. And let's look at dollar yen at the moment. Dollar yen, very bullish. So it stayed above. This was a critical level, 111.77 or 80 level. So this was critical, very, very bullish close for the day. So the next target would be 114, and above that 114.80. So this one is bullish. In terms of a pullback, the pullback level would be 112.60 level. So this could pull back lower. But if we get a shallower pullback, then we're looking at about 113.00. So that will be the price level to watch, and then we could look for another move to the upside. But overall, this is a very bullish close, very, very strong bullish close in this one. So we are targeting 11400. We're bullish, targeting 11400. But do keep in mind 11300 as pullback level or 112.60 level. Euro yen here starting to kind of go sideways. Here we are, a very bullish close for the day though, but again, same thing as I said with our pound yen. This is where we are sitting for the last 3 days. And at this point, we have to be we have to keep this level in mind. If the price holds above 127.80 level or above 12800 level, then we are certainly looking for another move to the upside. But we have had a huge move, and if Bank of Japan does not change their stance, we are again bullish on this. So next level here to watch will be 129.60 level to the upside. Okay, EuroCAD, we'll take a quick look. EuroCAD was very neutral, so we can be not a very strong candle to trade for the day. So this could go either way. Euro Aussie, very choppy. So again, not a good one to trade. Well, it's not the best chart. So I think against the commodity currencies, here's the Aussie New Zealand. So Aussie New Zealand has been bullish, and we are looking for another move. So bullish close for the day. We're looking for another move to the upside, 1.0530 level here, or even 50 level. I do like this level here as well. So 1.0550 level will be the target to the upside. This one we're looking for a bullish move. Unless RBA comes in and says something negative, or if they say something positive, this one could be a good one to look at. Also, Aussie yen would be another one to keep an eye on, especially if RBA comes in bullish. So that one could take off to the upside as well. And this one here as well, because we don't have Reserve Bank of New Zealand coming up this week, but we do have Australian central bank coming out. So those are the things to keep in mind. Anything else before we call it a wrap? Okay, I would take that as a no. So we will call it a wrap for today, and I'll see you guys tomorrow. Perfect. You guys have a great evening.